Hello. Today I get the opportunity to talk to you guys about suicide, dying to self, and I'm really excited because it's an absolutely must as a Christian walking this thing out here while we're on this earth. Matthew 26:41 tells us, "Watch and pray so that you do not fall into temptation. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak." So here we get to see it's confirmation that our flesh is weak. It's just going to answer to the things of the world, the things that the world wants to do, and the things that give it a momentary satisfaction. So I'm gonna jump into this. I'm gonna start off by just kind of giving you guys a foundation for what is dying to self. What does it actually mean? So mortification or killing the flesh means to deny the body the needs, the wants, and the desires of the world. So our flesh, this body that God put us in, is just like a vessel. It's a vessel that He gave us so that we can live by the Spirit to do the things to get His passion back to Him, to the kingdom. And we have the choice, which is the greatest gift of all. We have the choice to decide: are we going to do what He called us to do? Are we going to do what we were put here to do, or are we going to just be of the world? Because it's a lot easier, honestly, to just be of the world. It's kind of like going with a current when we go with the world. So we have to kill this flesh. John 3:6 says, "Flesh gives birth to flesh, but the Spirit gives birth to the Spirit." So when we don't kill the flesh and we let it live according to the world, then all that's going to happen is we're going to keep reproducing flesh things. We're going to keep reproducing worldly things. So we have to make sure that we kill it. We have to make sure we deny it of all the wants, all the needs, all the desires that come from this world. One thing that you can know, is this a flesh thing or a spirit thing, is it leaves you with only a momentary satisfaction. For the moment, it feels good. For the moment, it's like, oh, this is good, this feels good. But then there's going to be a termination period. There's going to be a time when it don't feel good no more. And you back to that same spot where you're like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I think of myself whenever I'm looking at this, and I'm like, when I let my flesh live, and when I let my flesh live, my flesh made the decisions, and my flesh, it was alive. The Spirit couldn't even live in me. And one example that I like to use is I was dating this guy, and my flesh really wanted to be with him. My flesh really wanted us to just marry each other and have children and things like that. So he would make me so mad at times that I would pretend to commit suicide. And that was because my flesh wanted to be in this relationship with him. So I was giving birth to fleshly things. And a part of that, why I did that, is because I didn't understand why my flesh had to be dead. So my point number 2 is our flesh has to be dead so that our spirit can live. The spirit cannot live anywhere that's already occupied. It's a gentleman, so it's not going to try to bombard its way in. The spirit can only live in an unoccupied place. And so in Galatians 5:16-18, it kind of tells us that we are to walk by the Spirit and not to gratify the desires of the flesh, because the flesh and the spirit, they're contrary to each other. They don't want the same things for each other. If the spirit say turn right, the flesh gonna say you turn left. We can't do that. So we have to make sure that we understand an occupied place cannot. An occupied place is not a house, or it's not an open home for the Spirit to come and live in. So, sorry. So, if we allow these things like lust and lying and cheating and being disobedient and being prideful and stealing and just being angry and letting other spirits that are not of God take control of us, then we can't inherit the kingdom. There's no way that we can inherit the kingdom of God, because in Galatians 5, in Galatians 5:19-21, it tells us at the end that if we live with those things, if we don't allow the Spirit to come live inside of us, then we're doomed and we will not be able to inherit the kingdom. So we have to make sure that we let the Spirit live inside of us. So number one, we have to know that killing the flesh means to deny the body of the needs, desires, and wants of the world. And we have to remember that the reason why we kill the flesh, our flesh, this vessel that God gave us, is so that the Spirit can have a place to live, because the Spirit cannot live in an occupied place. So, the Spirit, it only wants the opposite of what the flesh wants. And that's a good thing, because we don't want the things of the world, because we weren't put here to be of the world. We were put here to stand out. We were put here to be different. We were put here with a purpose. So, we got to kill that thing. We got to kill our flesh and let the Spirit live inside of us. When I was in college, I would party and I would drink and I would have sex. And at the time, I thought it was okay. In that moment, I would be good. I'm like, hey, I'm partying over here, partying over there. But in our actuality, my flesh was making those decisions. And that's why I was getting those momentary satisfactions. And it wasn't until I decided to allow the Spirit to live in me, live through me, and be a part of me, that I didn't have those wants and I didn't have those desires. And now I walk in freedom, which is just absolutely amazing. And that brings me back to John 3:6. Flesh gives birth to flesh, but the Spirit gives birth to the Spirit. Now that the Spirit lives inside of me, things that are being birthed from me are spirit things, God things, and not just good things, but, God things, which is totally amazing. So how do you kill the flesh? We learn what it is. We learn that killing the flesh is denying the body, the wants, the needs, and the desires of the world. We learn that it's important to kill the flesh because our spirit cannot live in an occupied place. Well, how do you actually do that? Luke 9:23-24 says, "Then he said to them all, 'Whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up your cross daily and follow me. For whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for me will save it.'" So you must submit yourself to God above all things. You must pick up your cross, and you must pick up your cross and follow Jesus daily. So how to kill the flesh is to pick up your cross and follow Jesus daily. And that's easy because that's just like salvation. I went to the altar call for salvation because I wanted to be saved. I wanted somebody to save me from my mess. So I was like, how do I kill my flesh? Well, salvation. I got submitted to God. I picked up my cross and I was like, all right, God, I'm ready to do this thing. Let's do this. And so salvation, that helped me kill my flesh. But the bigger battle, the bigger thing was, how do I do this thing daily? How do I make sure I keep my flesh dead daily? Paul said it best, I die daily. Every day I got to die. And let the Spirit live through me. Every day I have to remember to tell this flesh that it doesn't live, but the Spirit lives through me. This flesh, this is just a vessel. It's just something that God chose to use. He put it together. He made it. He created it. It's just something that God chose to use to get his people back to his kingdom. So every day at the beginning of your day, die daily. Declare that it is war against the flesh. Declare that I'm not gonna let you live. Every time you try to raise up, I'm gonna spiritually kill you. Every time you try to raise up, I'm gonna feed my spirit man so that you have to die. In this, use spiritual weapons only. Don't fight flesh with flesh, because all you're gonna get is flesh. But fight the flesh with the Spirit. Build up your spirit, man. Make him so larger and so greater that, the flesh don't even have room. The thoughts that the flesh will try to give you can't even fit in because the spirit man is so big. Get in your word. Exercise your spiritual senses. Bury yourself with spiritual activities. Pray. Get you a prayer closet. Get you a prayer partner. Get on a prayer line. Read your word every day. Fast. Make fasting a part of your spirit. If the spirit lives in you and fasting is a part of your spirit, hey, what is the flesh going to do? Help other people who are in need. Go do some work around the church. Get around people who are like you. I think it's cool that cliques, when I look at cliques, like, they all the same. They like each other. They have the same desires. So as a Christian, I have a quote-unquote clique. I have people who are around me who have the same desires that I have. Excuse me. So lastly, I like to think of this as in an example of a runner. As a track runner, you got to have a good coach. You got to have the right clothes. You got to have the right shoes. You got to have the right mind. If you were a track star and I was to come up to you and say, man, I got this mink coat, it's fire. This mink coat, got these fur boots, they nice. You need to try them on right now. Put them on. You're going to look at me like I'm crazy. Because in the season that you're in, what you're doing, it doesn't require all that stuff. Well, that's just like us as Christians. In the season that we're in and what God called us for, our flesh isn't needed to live. Only the spirit is, because God said he called us here to help get his passion back to the kingdom. And because of that, we can't wear this as what it is. We got to use it for what it's for. We got to use this as the vessel. This is the vessel. God gave this to us as a vessel, not as not to be a part of the world. So we have to make sure that we're wearing the right gear, and that's the armor of God. We have to make sure that we have the best coach ever, and that's our God, the Father. We have to make sure of those things. So just to recap what we learned today, killing the flesh means to deny your body the needs, the wants, and the desires of the world. And we do this because the spirit cannot live in an occupied place. We do this because the spirit cannot live in an occupied place. And how we kill our flesh is to submit to God, get salvation, and take up our cross daily. And how do we do this every single day to make sure that this thing stays dead, to make sure our flesh never rises? We die daily. We use our spiritual weapons. We get involved. We get people around us who are on our team. We bathe ourselves in scriptures. We make sure that we are feeding our spirit spiritual things and not things of this world. And I pray that you you have a heart that desires to make the flesh be dead, so that the things that God calls you to do can live, so that the spirit inside of you can live. And that way you can be used in the full context that God sent you here to be used in. Thank you guys so much, and I hope you guys have a marvelous day.